Today is Saturday, October 21st. It's about 10:30 in the morning, and I'm here at the OSU Alumni Center with Eloise Schultz. My name is Jennifer Paustenbaugh with the OSU Library, and Mrs. Schultz has agreed to be interviewed as part of our O State Stories project. And so we have a questionnaire, and we'll just ask you some questions and maybe some follow-up questions based on what you tell us. And hopefully it will be an enjoyable experience for us. When you came in, we asked you to fill out a questionnaire, and just looking at that information, you indicate on here that you attended OSU from 1956 to 1958.
Yes.
So you were here when the university, it changed from LAMC to OSU.
My senior year.
Your senior year. And so were you a transfer student? And
Yes.
where did you transfer
I transferred from Oklahoma College for Women at Chickasha.
Okay,
Went
great.
there 1 year.
And what made you decide to come up here to school?
Well, when I started school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so my mother decided that maybe I ought to go down there and major in music. And after 1 year, I decided that that would not be a money-making degree for me at all. It was a wonderful experience, but I needed to get something practical.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart had always been at OSU because both my parents went there. And my dad's state office was here.
Okay.
And that's all I ever knew was Oklahoma A&M.
Okay. So you had mentioned to me before that we started the interview that your mother graduated from here in 35.
35.
Okay.
My dad in 34.
That is kind of unusual for someone in your generation to have had parents who both graduated from college.
I think they were very fortunate because they came from modest means. In fact, the junior year of my dad's year of school, he came to school with $5 in his pocket.
That's just incredible, isn't it?
It is.
And then he was able to make it.
He was
with that
able to make
humble
it.
start.
Yes.
Now, did you have siblings?
I have a sister.
Okay. And did she also go to
She
college?
attended here, but we introduced her, my husband and I introduced her to a fraternity brother of his, and they eloped. And so she didn't finish school here. She moved to Iowa with him, and after her youngest child started school, then she drove into Omaha, Nebraska to finish her degree.
Okay. Well, good for her.
But she did start out here. She got 2 years.
So was that something that was encouraged as you were growing up, this expectation that you would go to college?
Education was important.
Okay. So that's really wonderful. Well, since this is homecoming weekend, we do have some questions that are related to homecoming. And what were homecoming events like when you were a student here?
Well, we didn't have the walk around. This is a new concept. We had beautiful floats that the fraternities and sororities built.
I have seen pictures of some of those. They were really
There was
pretty
one in
amazing.
the paper here recently. I guess it was the Oklahoma, and it was 2 of my sorority sisters on the float for the acacias.
Oh, wow.
And
Now, what sorority did you belong
Zeta
to?
Tau Alpha.
Okay. So, and they have the house that's across
From Beta Pond, which was a wonderful location.
Yes, it was. Now, was it called Theta Pond at the time you went
Yes.
to school?
Yes.
Okay.
And it wasn't near as attractive as it is now.
Yes. Well, that's really just in the last couple of years, that whole area has been remade and upgraded, and it's really beautiful.
It really is.
And that fountain sure helps to keep the water moving
Absolutely.
around
Yes.
in there. So, what was that when you lived in the sorority house across from the pond? What was that pond like? Was it stagnant or
Very.
okay? So it probably didn't smell really
Not too
good.
clean.
Yeah. Well, do you have any memories that are associated with Beta Pond in particular?
Well, we had a wonderful view whenever there was a pond party, and we got to see a lot of fellows thrown in.
Now tell me about a pond party. Was that like associated with someone being engaged or?
Or if they were pinned,
Okay.
or even given a drop, fraternity drop.
Now what is,
It was
Tell
a
me
little
more about
insignia on a chain,
okay,
and that was before you were
got
pinned.
pinned, okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, I've maybe heard that same expression before as being lavaliered. Is that?
I have no
Oh,
idea.
okay.
That's
So
a new term.
dropped. Okay.
Times have changed.
That's right. So there were wonderful floats that the sororities and fraternities, and were there? I know that there were some house decorations, but not like what they are today.
I don't recall house
You don't?
decorations at all,
Okay.
but then I don't remember everything.
Oh. Were there any other traditions associated with homecoming that you remember in particular? I mean, if there were floats, then
It was
obviously
the
there was a
parade,
big parade.
a big parade. That was the big important
Emphasis.
emphasis. And homecoming was not as big as it is today.
So I know that so many alumni return now, but at the time you were going to school here, there were obviously fewer alumni to begin with at that time, but did many of them return to campus, or is that a more recent phenomenon?
Well, living in the house, we always had a lot of girls come back,
Mm-hmm.
so I assume that it was a big thing then,
Okay.
but maybe it's on a bigger scale now.
So what made you decide that you wanted to be in a sorority?
My mother was.
Okay. Was she a Zeta?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, that influence can be really strong.
Right. It is.
Are there other traditions that you remember from your time as a student here other than homecoming or pond parties?
Well, the one thing that really stands out is that the girls had a curfew. We had to be in by 10 o'clock at night.
And that was really rigorously
they
enforced.
locked the doors. This no longer happens.
Right. So what would happen if you got locked out?
Well, I really don't know because I didn't try it.
Well, did you hear stories from other girls who weren't so
No, but
or-
I didn't live in the dorm on campus, so I
Okay.
really don't know what happened to the girls in the dorm.
All right, but that curfew was true regardless of whether
Yes.
you were in a dorm or a
Yes,
sorority.
that's right.
Okay. So, and I assume that you had a house mother.
Yes.
And so what was her relationship with the girls that lived in the house?
She tried to be helpful. She tried to be reassuring. She was a away from home mom,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them we liked and some we didn't.
So did they change fairly
Yes,
regularly?
ours did
Oh.
while I was there. Some of them didn't change for years.
So what was dress like on the campus? I take it people did not go to class in their pajamas or.
And we didn't go in blue jeans either.
Mhm. So you would always have
We
worn
had
a dress.
skirt, sweater, or a dress.
Mm-hmm. And that was true even if you went
And
in
when
the
we
evening
went
to
to
the
church,
library.
we always had to wear a
Hat,
hat
okay,
and
and
gloves.
gloves. Right. Yeah, Steve and I remember doing that when I was little. But as far when you went to even social events on campus, those were always fair, or if you were to study in the library in the evening, you would still be dressed up in a skirt. And I mean, you probably didn't consider it being dressed up.
I don't remember that, but we probably were more relaxed. Probably wore jeans to study.
Mm-hmm.
And I did spend a lot of hours at the library.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Good for you. Now, the library building had already been built
It was
and
new.
opened,
It
but
was
was
new.
new when you got here. And you said you spent a lot of time studying there. Do you have any particular memories of the library?
No.
No? Okay. Just spending time there.
Just
studying.
studying.
Now, the fountain was not part of the original building, was it? I mean, when they opened that building up, was that fountain operational?
I thought
Okay.
it was.
Well, it could have been. I'm not. Now I'm thinking about it, and I'm
And then
just
the
not
formal
sure.
gardens were out in front of it, which
Right.
are all gone now.
Yes. So I bet it was really a
It
beautiful
was.
view.
It was.
Yeah. Are there other places on campus that you visited with a great deal of frequency? The student
Student
union.
union
Uh-huh.
was our hangout.
And what kinds of things would you have done there?
We went for coffee between classes, to visit. A lot of people played bridge. Also, I studied over there in the union too, up on different floors, different rooms between classes.
So how was bridge organized? Was there like a
Oh, it was just individual
so
groups.
you just would pick up
Right.
find 3 other people that
Right.
wanted to play.
Right.
Okay. And that was just pretty much wherever there was a table and 4 chairs available.
Or even a friend or whatever.
Okay. All right. What about were there places to eat in the union? You
Oh,
mentioned
yes.
getting coffee
In the cafeteria.
in the okay. So what
Which is no longer there.
no, it's like a lot of things.
Right.
And were there other places on campus or off campus that were popular hangouts for you and your friends?
There might have been, but I did not have wheels, so
Okay.
I was pretty limited.
Well, I know there
On
were some
campus.
places that are on the strip, like there was Swims
Right,
and
we would
some
go,
other places
right,
like
we would
that.
go down there to eat sometimes
Okay.
on the weekends when the dining room was closed.
Oh, all right.
Sunday night in particular.
So even though your parents lived here in Stillwater, you pretty much
No, my parents did not
oh,
live
they
here.
didn't live
No.
here. Okay, I see. So where were they at the time that you attended school here?
Medford.
Medford. Okay, and you said that your father was the extension agent for
Yes.
Grant County. Is
That's
that
where
right?
that's where he retired.
Okay. What was your what kinds of things did you do for fun while you were a student here besides playing bridge, and were there, and I know that that would have been things that involved your friends, but did you go to dances or?
There were some. If you were in the dating stream, why there were dances and parties to go to. The movies were a big thing then.
And there was that movie theater that was up on the corner,
corner,
by where
which
the
is now the
Hideaway.
Hideaway
Right.
is,
Okay.
Or that, or you could go downtown on Main Street. There was a new theater down there.
Oh, okay. Was that like between 6th and 7th Street?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the facade's still there.
Okay, that's right. And so how many shows a month would come in?
I don't
Okay.
have a clue.
But would it just be one movie at a time that was in a theater?
Right, right.
Okay.
It's not like it is now with multiple.
Yeah,
No.
that's mind-boggling. And most of them aren't even that good.
They were good movies back then.
That's right. And you said that you didn't have a car, so how frequently were you able to go home?
Maybe once a month.
Okay. And that would really, I mean, most students didn't have cars,
No.
so they were more or
We
less
didn't.
here on the weekends. And
Yes. So we had to devise our own entertainment. And if we were really studious, we studied.
Well, how would you have gotten home? Would your parents have come to pick you up?
Sometimes, and sometimes I had a ride with somebody from home,
Okay.
one of the fellas.
And today that trip to Medford would take, what, about an hour and 15 minutes? Is that?
Oh, let's see, probably because it's 50 minutes from my house now, and it's 45
Okay.
on from my house to Medford.
All right. So how long was the trip then?
Well, we didn't have I-35,
Right.
we didn't have Cimarron Turnpike, so it was 2-lane highway all the way.
And was it paved road all the
Yes.
way? It was, okay. Because I interviewed some people here
Well, no,
yesterday.
there was part of Highway 11 west of Blackwell that was still dirt,
Okay,
but we didn't go that way.
okay. Well, I had heard that even Highway 51 had been,
That's
like
right.
10 years previously, had been unpaved.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I just can't imagine what that must have been like after a heavy rain with all that red.
57, it flooded.
Yes, we heard about that.
And I spent the night, it was the night before finals, and I spent the night in the basement of the house bailing water out so it wouldn't get into the boiler, and it just all went over and flowed through the Pi-Fi house.
Oh, geez.
Because their dining room, I believe, was sitting down in the lower area, and it just flowed over from the street down into the dining room. I think that's what it was. But
What a mess.
it was,
And so they didn't cancel finals
No.
because there had been a flood.
no, but
That was
Stillwater
mean.
flooded. You know how that is. Nothing cancels finals.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that ever happens. When someone mentions OSU or OAMC, is there like anything that immediately comes to mind for you?
It was just a wonderful time in my life. The sorority house was my home away from home, and it was my family. And it really, I don't believe that situation exists anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a wonderful experience.
So do you still maintain contact or friendships with some of your sorority
I have
sisters?
a few, and I have been going to a reunion every 3 years with a group that's just 2 or 3, 4 years younger than I am, and I enjoy it thoroughly.
So is it here or do you go
No,
someplace
we've been going
else?
all over the country.
Oh, how fun. So I can see why you would enjoy that.
I've seen places that we didn't go otherwise.
Oh, well, good. That's really wonderful. How often do you come back to campus?
Oh, we have season tickets for football games, so we're on campus in the fall.
Oh,
And I bring my dad in the spring to the animal science awards banquet
okay.
because he presents a scholarship.
Oh, okay. Is it one that he set up?
He set up, he and my mother set it up.
That's really great. So is that through the College of Agriculture then?
Yes,
Okay.
through the
The
foundation
foundation.
and animal science department.
Great. So what, is it designed to assist a student in animal science?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, from the Northwest District.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really wonderful. I know the College of Agriculture probably has the best scholarship
Do they?
program of any of the colleges. So
Very good.
that's good to hear that he gave back. When you were here, the name of the institution changed. How did you feel about that?
I was upset. The university concept just wasn't in the right mode at that point. You know, there's constant change in the world, and we always say, "Oh, I don't want that to change," but we get used to it, and that's what's happened here.
Sure.
But I was really upset when they changed our school song. I love that song.
Well,
So it's the wave song now.
right. Well, were students involved in choosing the new song, or how did that work? Do you recall?
No, there was a selection committee.
Well, I know introducing something like that to some degree seems really artificial because it's not your song.
No,
it's
it's
somebody
not. And
else's
I finally
song.
just this year, I think I'm able to sing
Sing
that
along.
song after all these years. Well, we were in Oklahoma for a number of years, so I didn't really have any reason to try.
Right. So what led you to Billings then, if you were out of state?
When he retired from the Air Force,
Okay.
he came back to farm because he took over from his dad.
All right. So that's where their family farm
Right.
had been.
Right.
Was in that area.
It was not my choice
To come back to Oklahoma or to come back
to
and
go
be
to Billings at the
Billings?
farm.
Okay. All right. Well, if you were in the Air Force, then you probably lived in some really interesting places.
Yes, wonderful places. South Dakota was not the best one.
Well,
No.
so was your husband a missiles officer? or-
Eventually he was.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All
Then
right.
he ended up in missile nuclear safety in Albuquerque.
Okay.
That was his final job.
All right. Well, my father was an Air Force officer,
Really?
so when I hear people have been in the Dakotas, I usually think
That
they
was-
were in missiles.
It was the banana belt of the Dakotas.
Yes. It definitely was. If you were to give advice to future or even to current students, would you have any advice in particular?
pursue all you can and get the education you can, because you just do not know down the road what is going to happen in your life. And you need to be prepared to support yourself.
Well, and you said that that was really a driving factor for you when you came to school was the difference between liking music but knowing that you
Not make a living from it. Of course, I had no idea I was going to get married when I need to.
So you mentioned before we started the interview that you met your husband when he was a graduate student here, and were you a senior?
My senior year,
Okay, so how soon after that did you marry?
a year later.
A year later.
He went on active duty after he got his master's degree in 58
Okay.
and went on active duty and came back the next year and we got married. So I worked 1 year.
Okay. So you got a taste of that, and then you.
Yes.
Well, that's okay, and you knew that you could support yourself if you needed
Well,
to do that.
I was going to go to work after we got married, but family became primary
Well, tell me
responsibility.
about your children.
We have a son, David, that graduated from Stillwater in 19. Well, I've lost count. He was supposed to graduate in 82.
Mm-hmm.
He things didn't work out for him, so he dropped out. He finished his ROTC commitment, came back and worked for us for a while, and then came back to school. Finished his bachelor's and got his master's.
Oh, good.
He's an electrical engineer.
Okay. Did he get his degrees from OSU?
Oh, yes.
Yes, he did. Okay. And I take it he was in Air Force ROTC?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then our daughter graduated in 84. And then she worked for a few years, and then she went to pharmacy school at Weatherford
Oh, okay.
and became a pharmacist. She was in medical research.
Okay. So both of your children decided to go to school here.
Well, my son said he didn't have any choice. We were in Albuquerque at the time, and I said, well, David, you can either go here in New Mexico or you can go to Oklahoma and you go to OSU or OU.
Uh-huh.
I said, they have both good engineering schools. And he didn't believe me. So one day he came home from school and he says, well, Mom, I guess you were right. That's the only time he's ever told me. I don't know anything anymore. But I said, what do you mean? He says, well, my math teacher said OU has a real good engineering school. And I said, well, you didn't believe me, did you? But I prefer you went to OSU.
Yes. I think that would be a little bit hard to take as a parent if you were an OSU alum to write that check to the University of Oklahoma.
Yes, that's true.
That's great. So, well, and maybe you'll have another generation in your family that will attend
Not
here.
likely.
Not likely.
Not likely.
Okay.
Not likely.
All right. Wow. Is there anything about your experience here that you wish that I had asked you that I didn't ask you about? Or any story that you'd like to tell that doesn't really fit
I'm
into
not
the
full of stories like the fellas are. It was just a wonderful time here. Campus is not anything like it once was. Now, there was more of a home-like feeling.
Mhm.
There's just so many here now.
Right. It's kind of hard to keep that coziness when
Right.
we have more than 20,000
Right.
students
That's right.
here.
But it was such an enjoyable time.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. And,
Thank you.
it's been really fun visiting